Welcome to a Milk Market Tidbit for the May 2023 Federal Milk Marketing Order data that was released this week. This is Dr. Lawrence Jones, and I'm recording this on Friday, June 16th. So let's kind of get started with the big picture of what the statistical uniform prices were in the 11 different federal milk marketing orders. And there are a couple things kind of notice on this as we go through this. The class one prices always have a drag associated with them because we announced the class one prices 2 weeks before we announced the class three and class four. And also we had a lot of depooling of class four because the prices were so different between three and four. We'll look at that in a minute. All right, so this is the overall statistical uniform prices, and they're a little hard to look at because of those things that were going on. But some things that I want to kind of focus on is order one is usually the what I call the purest order. They don't depool and a lot of these sorts of things. So 1946 in order one. So how does that compare? So I put together this graph, which is the statistical order one prices historically. And there's no doubt we're way off of this peak that we had with this big run up and this big run down. And I still claim that that was probably a war premium. It started just about the time that Russia invaded Ukraine. And if we go back, and it's still a little bit higher than the 2019 prices when we thought we were just really golden going into this, but we definitely have an increase in cost associated with producing milk. So this is not a complete true picture. So if we look at how the prices changed, and this is where those things to consider come in. If we look at the Southeast, that was all up a little bit. And you say, how can milk be up down there? Well, class one price came up 73 cents from April to May. You got to remember that has a significant drag associated with it. You look at Minnesota, Wisconsin, they were down $2, while class three was down $2.41. And so overall, the statistical uniform prices when they're weighted for the different regions were down about $1 or so. But you can't look at the ones that were depooling, and the reason for that is they get a separate check associated with that depooling. So if we look at the change in class four utilization, and that's what everybody was depooling because class four was higher than class three. So let's actually go back and look at that for just a second. Class four was 18.10 and class three was 16.11, so $2 difference. So when we see that California reduced their amount of class four by 52%. That was just absolutely huge. Now, Texas reduced by 38%. There was a little bit of a reduction in the Northwest, but that might have been because they stopped depooling class three. The same thing in Minnesota, Wisconsin. But if you look at, the Northeast, like I say, it's the purest one. They don't depool only one time a year. So here's our change in daily milk production, and boy, what a tale of two cities here. You've got, the Northwest up 123%, while you've got California down by, 12% or so. That's all depooling. That is not actual production changes. That is simply California took a whole lot of milk out, put it into the class four depooling, whereas the Northwest brought some of the class three in. Same with Minnesota, Wisconsin. They're not up 10% in production. It's just that 10% more milk came into the pool. So how do we interpret all of this? So one of the things I did down here is I calculated what was the change in 1, 2, and 3 and exclude 4. Just get rid of that. And they're up about 1.2%. So not very much, but definitely a rise. If we look at 1, 2, and 4 and exclude 3, up only about 0.7%. So really what I'm thinking is going to happen this month is that we're going to be up a little bit from April, but not anywhere near what some of these look at. And if you look at the Northeast again, they're up about 1%. So probably milk in May on a daily basis is probably going to be up a little bit. If we look at the fat values, they're still pretty strong, over 4% in numerous places. And even Florida is at 377, and the Northeast is 38 uh, and change. If we look at the protein values, also still strong, 315 in the Northeast. Many of the regions don't report protein. The Northwest was still at 333, so they are very strong. California is still very strong at 33 also. All right, so this next week, markets will be closed on Monday, and then we're going to have a jam-packed week after that with global dairy trade, milk production report, the advanced prices for July, and the third national dairy sales report, and the cold storage report. So we'll hang on to your seat next week. All right, so that's it for me, and I'll get you another report when another USDA report comes out.